Linda, tell us a little bit about your experience in CPG, your roles at Pepsi, Danone, and then Finley, I'd love to turn it to you to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, we're good. Oh, now we're good. Thank you. So hi, everyone. I'm Linda Bethea. I'm currently the CMO at Danone North America, which is a top 10 food and beverage company. And I've spent my entire career in food and beverage because I love food. So I started my career at PepsiCo on the snack side of the business. And spent over a decade across the Frito-Lay and Pepsi businesses, also working on a joint venture with Unilever, which was a really great training ground. Pepsi, trains world-class marketers and business leaders, but working through the Unilever joint venture, got to see, how another company approaches business and marketing. But after a decade there, I realized I was either going to be a Pepsi lifer or I needed different experience. So from there, I moved over to what I call the fun side of beverages at Diageo and spent 3.5 years managing the rum portfolio, which was very fun. Learned a lot about inserting brands into culture, working through the distributor organization, et cetera. But then, reached a point in my life where I was really thinking about purpose and the legacy that I want to leave, and having marketed snacks, chips, salty snacks, sodas, and alcohol my whole career, it felt like I needed to do something a little healthier. So moved over to Danone about 6 years ago, and it's been a great ride.
Hi, I'm Finley. I'm Linda's daughter. I'm a sophomore in high school, and I love that she works in food because I myself am a huge foodie. And yeah, I'm very grateful and excited to be here.
Great. So Linda, when I was doing a little bit of research for today and looking at Danone as a business, it is one of the world's largest B Corps. Mm-hmm. And for everyone here, if you don't know what a B Corp is, it's a for-profit company that meets high standards of social and environmental performance. And tying that to the mission of Danone, which I personally love, and I think it's so important today, but it's to deliver health through food to as many people as possible. Talk to us a little bit about how you bring that mission to life as CMO.
Yeah, our mission truly is our North Star. I think a lot of companies talk about purpose. We truly live purpose. Not a day goes by, a meeting that I'm in, that we don't refer back to our purpose and our mission to deliver health through food. And that is one of the amazing things about Danone is we've been operating in this country for almost 80 years, and we are truly leaders in science-backed innovation, trying to deliver healthy and delicious products to the people we serve. And in fact, 70% of Danone's portfolio is nutrient dense. And that's really critical, particularly today in the evolving landscape where people are more concerned about health and wellness. We know that food and beverage has risen to the top of the consumer agenda. And in fact, they consider food and beverage as a key contributor to health and wellness, even above sleep and exercise. So that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is knowing that I'm playing a role in making America healthier and delivering those healthy and delicious choices that people are seeking.
That's great. Let's shift a bit to consumer insights. And I can say Reddit is sitting on 20 years of deep insight, of conversations, and a lot of that is about brands. And so with that, as a marketer, how do you decipher the insights that are most important to your brands? And then how do you act upon that to bring that to life?
It's a great question. At Danone, we are very much consumer-centric. Everything we do starts with the consumer. But I'd say from an insight standpoint, it's a little bit a tale of two cities, right? We have access to so many insights, but it's almost too many. And do we have the right insights? So it's really important that we're leveraging our insights team to help us comb through the data and really find the true consumer insights that are going to help us build brands, products, and marketing campaigns that really resonate. And I think, a few specific examples. We've all seen probably the protein boom happening in America right now. I think 78% of people say they're trying to incorporate more protein into their diets. And that's music to my ears because we have the #1 protein yogurt in America with Oikos. If you haven't tried it, I recommend you all go try some Oikos. Yes, thank you. Some oil fans in the audience. But as we sit there and we think about this growth in our business, right? We've been growing double digits behind this protein boom for years. Do we truly understand what's driving the protein boom? Do we go deep enough from a consumer insight standpoint to truly understand why people are trying to consume more protein in their diets so that, again, we can build the right products to meet those consumer needs?
So Finley, I'm going to turn to you for a bit, because your mom talked about health and wellness, and I was telling you before we came on stage, I have 2 teenagers as well, and health and wellness is so important to them at a much younger age than I think I ever paid attention to when I was your age. And you're an athlete. Talk to us a little bit about how you and your friends are thinking about health and wellness. What are your conversations about, and what's important to you?
Yeah, definitely being an athlete and having many of my friends as athletes, we have a huge focus on fueling our bodies with the right nutrition. So I know I talk to my friends about making sure I'm getting enough protein and healthy fats and making sure I'm getting the right nutrition in each meals. It's really become a big topic in a lot of conversations with my friends, which is a little shocking to me originally, but now it's just become normal. And I know we also place a lot of focus on mental well-being as well, which I think has become a huge thing in recent years, and trying to get rid of the stigma that's around mental health as well. And I think me and my friends do a good job of talking about all of it and checking in on each other for both physical and mental.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed a huge step change, from how I grew up in terms of health and wellness and what I see Finley and her friends talking about and doing. I mean, it makes me really proud when they're checking in on each other and checking in on their mental health. And that there is no stigma anymore, which is amazing to see, and they're there for each other. And they're very willing to be open and vulnerable and talk about the hard things, which is great to see.
It's amazing. Truly it is. The consumer journey it's changed tremendously, and we see it happening in real time, from consumers searching for brands to now really being more community driven and looking for information from influencers to actual communities like in Reddit. How do you really make sure that Danone's brands are showing up in those communities in authentic ways?
Yeah, I mean, the evolution of the consumer journey has completely upended how we approach marketing. The rise of social media, the rise of AI, it's completely changed how consumers are searching for and discovering brands. The linear funnel no longer exists. Consumers are on this infinite loop of search and discovery. And so we've had to completely shift how we approach our marketing campaigns. And obviously the rise of AI and everything we're thinking about from a search standpoint. I mean, we learned a stat the other day that Reddit actually is the #1 source of information for, answer engines. And so we've had to really shift how we think about our search strategies. And it's no longer about the keywords and the websites, but making sure you have the right content online to show up in AI-generated results. And then, you talked about influencers. People do trust influencers more than marketing these days, right? Ratings and reviews play a huge role. I think I read a stat around Gen Z that they read on average 3 to 5 ratings and reviews before deciding to buy a product. And that's, I would say, at least at Danone, an area we hadn't focused on historically. So that's now a bigger part of our mix. We now have a huge influencer program, and we're thinking about how we leverage influencers across everything we do, not just as, a complementary influencer strategy. Sometimes it's the heart of the strategy, and we lead with influencer first, depending on the audience we're trying to reach.
So you talked about Gen Z, and Finley, you are here, and you are the most powerful generation. You're digital natives, you grew up with your smartphones, social media is a part of your life. Tell us the 3 things that are most important for us to all know, and how we should be communicating with you, with your friends, and your generation.
Yeah, as you said, we have grown up in the age of technology, and it's been great, but it does also mean that we live on our phones and we live through social media apps like Instagram and TikTok. And so in order to reach us, you have to go through those platforms. I mean, even myself, if I'm looking up something, I don't go to Google anymore. I go to TikTok, and that's how I go through my searches. So I think that's the first most important thing. The second most important thing would be our attention spans have gotten a lot shorter since the rise of TikTok and Instagram. So when using those platforms, it's very important that the message you're trying to send is concise and it's there in a shorter length of time. And whatever the biggest point is, you want to say that first. You want to get to it. because we will lose our attention spans. Not something I'm proud of as somebody who also has had a lessened attention span from social media, but it exists. It's a problem. I think the third thing would be how you're communicating. I know I've learned quite a bit about the corporate world and corporate language through my mom, and I'm very lucky for that. But for most people whose parents don't work in the corporate world, we're not going to understand corporate communication. So communicating in language that we would understand in a simpler way is a way for us to really understand what brands are trying to say.
And then Linda, when you hear this from your daughter, how do you take what you're seeing her doing and what she's saying and really incorporate that into your messages?
Yeah, I mean, I would say she's a great source of inspiration, but also a focus group of one. I mean, at least every week, I would say, I bring home something to show her to get her opinion, and she gives me the unvarnished truth. I remember we were earlier this year developing a new campaign on Activia, and I saw the first rough cut from the team, and I saw it and cringed. But I'm not the target, right? We're trying to recruit that younger audience, so I brought it home and showed it to her. And I forget what her exact words were, but they probably are something I can't repeat in this room. And so it was a good gut check and validation of the feeling I had. And I do that pretty often. I show her packaging designs. I talk to her about, potential new products we're launching. I share with her our marketing campaigns. And, I get that gut check. But it's also helpful. Sometimes I think, we sit there and we're like, we need to reach the younger consumer. We need to be cool and hip. And we try too hard. And we lean into either trends that feel cringy when a corporate brand tries to do them, or we're trying to use language and slang that would resonate with that generation, and they can see right through us. You have to be authentic. I would say that's kind of the number one thing I've learned, is if you want to truly recruit and reach that generation, it has to be real.
Yeah, I agree. I would say another big thing is just authenticity. That's truly what we're looking for in brands. And I know myself, I gravitate towards brands who truly are very transparent about who they are and what they stand for, or for food brands, what they put in their products, versus brands that aren't authentic. I gravitate towards ones that are original and they're open about who they are.
How do you know if they're being real, though?
I think it's a skill in a way that, coming from somebody myself, I like to try my very best to be my authentic self, and learning from you, who I think you're very authentic as well. And so I think it's become a lot easier to notice when things are authentic versus not, and just looking for little clues about if a brand typically markets one way and then they have a sudden change and that's not on brand for them and it looks a little fake or feels off, you can tell a little bit.
So of course your mom does it best at Danone, but are there other brands that you feel like do it really well?
I can't think of a specific brand right now. I know brands who recruit influencers or who have people on their teams on the inside who are part of younger generations or have children part of younger generations do it really well, because they have that inside knowledge and they aren't basing it just off of what they perceive, but they truly just have they're going to the first source. And I think that's when brands do it best.
So Linda, let's shift gears to your most important role as a mom. And I've heard you talk about the 4 C's, and what the 4 C's are for you is you build a strategy with your team. I'd love for you to share your 4 C's, because I think they're amazing. And then shift a little bit about how you think about raising Finley with the 4 C's, because she's clearly this incredible young woman, and how have you played that into how you raise her?
Thank you. I'm very, very proud to be her mom. So for me, the 4 C's of leadership, as I call them, are number 1, curiosity. I think, as a marketer, it's critically important to be insanely curious about people in the world around you, right? You have to be asking questions every day. Again, peeling back the onion on consumer insights and digging really deep, and being just a naturally curious person really helps in that. The second C would be courage. I think it's really important to take risks and kind of, shoot for the moon. Sorry, I was in Vegas last week with this one for grocery shop and I lost my voice. and hasn't fully come back yet. So courage, really kind of, taking those risks. And then 3 would be conviction, having the conviction to back that up. Not everybody's going to believe in your idea. You may not have the full data behind the idea, so you have to have that conviction to sell it into leadership. And then I think the 4th C, which is probably the most important, both in business and in life, is compassion. At the end of the day, we're all people. We're all human beings. The people we work with, the people we serve, and you can't lose sight of that. Yes, you're chasing numbers. Yes, you're being held to, KPIs and objectives, but you can't lose sight of the human element. I think that's most important. Try to put yourself in somebody's shoes, whether it's somebody you work with or the consumer that you're targeting, and you're gonna be much more successful. And we talk a lot about compassion, I think, at home. We have a number of other kind of key family values that we talk about. She gets really annoyed with me because I'll do a lot of what I call life lessons with Linda. When we see, she'll come home and tell me about something that happened in the lunchroom with one of her friends. I'm like, ooh, this is a good time for a life lesson with Linda, and she rolls her eyes, but hopefully at the end of the day, she is internalizing those and learning from them.
I love it. We talk about those life lessons, but I don't get to say life lessons with Jana. That just rolls off so much better. So Finley, your mom has talked about how you've done some incredible trips with your mom from a career and a business perspective, and you're here with us today. What are the things that you're learning about career and about life as you're being exposed to your mom's career?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's my best friend, but she's also my biggest inspiration. And so I've learned a lot coming on all of the trips and seeing how she interacts. And the biggest thing that I've learned is just from watching her interact with her team. And like she said, with compassion, she truly makes an effort to get to know everybody as an individual inside the office and outside the office. And it makes a huge difference. And you can really see it in her team dynamic. And I've learned that how to apply that to my own life. And even like today, you can see it. Before we got up here, she makes an effort. She goes and she talks to everybody. She tries to learn a little bit about everybody's individuality and authenticity. And I think it's really an awesome thing that I'm now trying to put into my own life.
So my last question for you, Linda, is if Finley comes to,
It's not my brand, though. I can't be seen drinking this. Shh, turn off the camera.
If Finley comes to you in a few years, which will be here before we know it, and she tells you that she wants to follow your career path, what advice will you give to her?
I mean, I think she would be amazing in this career. I mean, I would be honored to work for her one day. I think she's super smart and will be successful in whatever she chooses. I don't think she wants this career path, but she's only 15. She has plenty of time to figure that out. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 15. I still say I'm figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. But I think my advice would be, you can always, don't chase one path of success. I mean, we talk about this a little bit now as she's thinking about, what's next in terms of college, but there is not one linear path, right? Just like consumers aren't on a linear journey anymore, I don't think careers need to be linear journeys either. And your definition of success needs to be an individual definition. Don't chase somebody else's definition of success. Don't chase the title, the big promotion, the big salary. Figure out what really matters to you. And that's your definition of success. For me personally, it's about working for a company with purpose and feeling like I'm doing good in the world and having the work-life balance and flexibility to be with my best friend and, be able to be with her as much as possible.
It's amazing. We have a few minutes, and we can open up to the audience to any questions that you all have.
No questions?
Oh, we got 2 in the back.
I just want to say I think you're amazing, and I think your daughter is amazing. I think
She is.
everyone in this audience will agree. I have never seen a 15-year-old so poised and so professional, and so like mother, like daughter.
Thank you. She's amazing, and I feel blessed every day.
I mean, I've learned from the best, so it's very helpful to have.
Turn into a love fest.
Hi, I second that comment. Way to go. Question is, there's such a proliferation of healthy food brands, and I admire a lot of the Danone portfolio. but how do you incorporate new product development in a large organization when there's constantly so much from like a challenger brand perspective coming into play?
It's a great question. I think, again, for us, it comes down to our true north and really focusing on deliver that health through food. And a recent example would be, we saw the consumer trends towards weight loss. We know that 1 in 4 consumers in the US are on a weight loss journey, and up to 12% have tried a GLP-1. And so we took that knowledge and, again, went deeper to try to understand, okay, people on GLP-1s, what are their unique nutrition needs, and how can we leverage our deep scientific expertise to address those nutrition needs. And what we found is people on GLP-1s are consuming up to 40% fewer calories per day. 40%. That's a huge deficit. And so it's really difficult for people on a calorie-restricted diet to get the nutrients they need. And the average consumer doesn't know how to eat to get those nutrients in a calorie-restricted diet. Nobody's giving them that information. So we at Danone did 2 things. 1, we launched a GLP-1 nutrition hub to serve as that source of credible information, a one-stop digital source for understanding what are your nutrient needs and how do you action against those in a daily diet. And then 2, we launched specific product innovation designed for people on a weight loss journey. So we just launched Oikos Fusion, which is a 7-ounce cultured dairy drink, only 7 ounces, again, because people are consuming less on GLP-1s, but it's packed with nutrients. And it actually has a patented trifecta of whey, leucine, and vitamin D, which are shown scientifically to prevent muscle loss while on GLP-1 medications. Because we know that up to 20% of the weight lost is muscle. That's the last kind of weight you want to lose while you're on a GLP-1. So really digging into those insights and understanding the consumer needs to guide our innovation strategy, which is fully backed by science and nutrition.
I think we have time for one more.
I'll make it quick. I speak quick. So you just kind of talked about how protein's big and everything like that, and going back to Finland, your authenticity and kind of reaching people where they're at. You obviously did Super Bowl spots in the past. You've done stuff with coffee, you've done stuff with yogurts, and obviously there were either celebrities or athletes tied to that. Given the Super Bowl is such a food fest as well, how are you, if you are, moving and navigating that space?
Yep, we will be back in the Super Bowl this year with Oikos. I believe this is now our 6th year in a row. It's been a great tentpole moment for us, and it is a great opportunity to stand out in a landscape of beer, soda, and salty snack ads. Again, we know that consumers are looking for healthier options. Last year, actually, during the Super Bowl, searches for GLP-1s spiked 50%. So it's top of mind as they're sitting there consuming all the delicious, unhealthy items. So it's a great opportunity for us to be front and center with our health-forward messaging. And so this year we will be back with Oikos, and we will have, again, featuring a great athlete, because Oikos is all about strength, but also featuring one of our new products. So stay tuned for a really breakthrough spot.
Amazing. Linda, Finley, this was so much fun. It was so much fun having you both together. So thank you for doing this, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.